Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner. In today's video I'm going to be giving you guys a deck profile, but not just your typical deck profile on obviously what will be Dragon Rulers. Instead, this past weekend at Locals we had another one of our traditional tournaments. And, well, I decided why not try making Rulers work in a traditional environment. And the result is this, a deck that goes by two names. I like to refer to it as Swaggin' Rulers because the deck just has that much swag in it. But another name you can call this would be a Crime Against Humanity because of the disgusting level of derp that this is capable of. 50% of your hands you get with this deck when you open will result in fields of Ozrai Silver Dragon, Stardust Spark Dragon, quite possibly Stardust Dragon, and maybe even a Felgrand if you manage to draw into Dimension Fusion or a Soul Charge while comboing. And you could very well end with a Royal Oppression and Imperial Order set, which in traditional format is kind of devastating, especially when backed up by Stardust or Spark. Spark and Oppression in Stardust and Imperial Order is just really difficult to crack, and in this format, it's basically spam power spells and spam special summons. So yeah, I basically went ahead and made an even bigger monster than the Laval deck that you guys saw the last time. And the thing is, this Dragon Lord deck will be legal for 2 more traditional formats before the ban list comes and puts Soul Charge to 1 or 0 or whatever. Because Soul Charge will not be at 3 forever, we all know this. And yeah, Soul Charge in traditional is kind of ridiculous with Future Fusion and Painful Choice and Dragon Ravine to some extent and other stuff like that. So yeah. I'll show you guys the deck profile, Swaggin' Rulers, A, because I just wanted to show you guys my traditional ruler deck, and B, I picked up a couple neat cards for this. So first up, the 4 rulers. They are, of course, the 4 single best dragons in the game. Then I also ran the Mythic Engine because I wanted trade-ins and stuff, and, well, you know, search targets for my rulers when they get banished. The 1-2 ratio of tree and water is actually pretty solid. I like it, and I will probably continue to play with that. Searchable tuner monsters include Debris, Corseska, because Dragon Ravine is legal in this format, so I wanted to have a Ravine search target. It was either Corseska or it was Darkspear, because I don't, yeah. I also don't have Influence Dragon, so that's why I played Darkspear in my standard rulers, but I chose this because level 8s are just better in this environment, and yeah, that's basically it. Like, Leo is definitely good in traditional format, as you can't brain control it, you can't snatch steal it, you can't ring of destruction it, which are all very good merits to run in the card if you got the space for it, but unfortunately I just didn't have the space for it. For normals, Level Guard, because, yeah, I was originally going to run Dragon Shrine, but Shrine was just not necessary, so I ended up cutting it, but I kept the Flamvel Guard in because of Blaster, and also, the main reason why I chose to run this deck was I picked up a DDS Blue Eyes, and I just wanted to flash it around before I eventually traded off to Mega Monkey because he really wants this, and I can get a German Super Rare Blizzard Dragon off of him, and then some for this card. So, yeah. This is probably one of the few times you will see a DDS Blue Eyes on this channel. I also picked up a Passion of Joey Red Eyes Black Dragon. So, yes, I got myself another version of Red Eyes. And then my only banned monster was Glow Up Bulb. I also considered Sinister Serpent, but it was just not needed in here. Again, after like the first couple of turns, ideally you're gonna have gone through most of your deck. I mean, Serpent is nice for the constant Ravine discards and Regeki Break and Graceful Charity and stuff, but I just didn't have room for it, whereas Glow Up Bulb has just stupid interactions with rulers, especially when you have like Redox. You can just discard it and Redox a special summon back a Redox from the graveyard, then mill for Glow Up Bulb and Synchro. Or you can just summon this Synchro, mill Synchro. Rulers are yet another reason why Glow Up Bulb will never come back. I am sorry, plant players, but this is the truth. Then for the spells. First up, a card that is going to be joining some of these at some point. This needs to be banned. Just not limited, it needs to be banned. But anyway, Soul Charge in a Dragon Ruler deck in a traditional environment where, again, Future Fusion and Painful Choice are things, is just disgusting. You can just foo-foo off 5 dragons and then Soul Charge them all back and make your disgusting unwinnable board, unbreakable board that your opponent cannot hopefully get through. Like, if you resolve Painful Choice or foo-fooing in this format with rulers, you shouldn't lose. You should probably actually win on turn 2 if you happen to make the correct stuff. So yeah, Soul Charge, I played 3 of these over Reborn and Premature Burial because I figure why play Reborn and Premature Burial, which are 1-for-1s, or in Premature Burial's case a +1, when Soul Charge is a plus a lot, and you don't care if you're losing your battle phase in that one turn because again, you're establishing a board that your opponent cannot possibly crack. In order to get to my many win conditions, I ran draw power. So the 3 upstarts, the 2 cards of Consonance, the double trade-ins, you know. It's looking like standard rulers at this point. Same for Burial. And then we get to the banned cards. So, first one, card of safe return with Dragon Rulers. Yeah, it went exactly as you expected. If I had this in play, I just was doing so much disgusting stuff. The one time I opened with card of safe return, Future Fusion, and Dimension Fusion. It was just unfair. Dragon Ravine, this does not deserve its spot on the ban list at all. It's a very good card, don't get me wrong. Like, the one or two times I didn't open with Fufu and Painful Choice, I got to Ravine, and Ravine helped me set things up. I opened Ravine Soul Charge, which was a Felgrand, I believe. No, it was a Spark Dragon, because I had Oppression behind it as well, or something. Whatever. Ravine did help, but it does not deserve its spot on the ban list at all. Like, it's not like Card of Safe Return. It's not like Future Fusion. It's definitely not Dimension Fusion, which with rulers is, of course, disgusting as hell. Graceful Charity, again, rulers. Future Fusion. Oh, how I've missed playing this. And yes, I did get to resolve it a couple times. And no, 5-headed dragon never did hit the field, because the turn after I resolved Future Fusion, I won. Painful Choice, the single best card in the deck, I feel. Allows me to not only put rulers into the grave, but can also get me Gold Bulb into the graveyard, or to my hand, as happened a lot of the time. Pot of Greed, because, well, Pot of Greed. And then Super Rejuvenation. Honestly, this was probably the weakest spell card in the deck. Like, this could honestly come back to 1 on the next list. I know it's crazy that I'm saying this, but the only real way you could truly abuse this isn't something that discards a lot of dragons, which would be Mythic Rulers and Deep Draw Exodia. Don't get me wrong, but if rulers are in a position where they're resolving a whole bunch of their draw spells, they open really well and they're going to kick your ass anyway. So, there. I mean, with the rulers at 1 and card destruction banned, I don't know, like, Super Rejuvenation just isn't as overly powerful as it used to be. I think we could possibly work with this at 1 here. I mean, hell, look at the OCG. They have had Super Rejuvenation at 1 forever, and they've not played it for, like, ever. And they have the same amount of draw power as we do, so there's some food for thought. Then for the traps, 3 copies of Raigeki Break, because sniping off certain things in this format is kind of important. Snatch Steal is being one of them. There's also K-Emp too. I mean, priority may be gone, but you still don't want that thing to resolve. It's one of the few things that can actually break one of your boards, such as Azurai, Stardust, Spark, and Imperial Order. They can just K-Emp and kill you, so Raigeki Break just kind of stops that. Same for Torrential Tribute. TT can just nuke their board, especially if you've resolved Azurai. Your guys are safe, so they try and come back against you, blow up the board, keep your dragons, and then kill them the following turn. And then for the banned trap cards, first one is Imperial Order, which is arguably the strongest anti-trap that you could have in this format. Lots of people like to play power spells such as Brain Control, Graceful Charity, Delinquent Duel, and etc, etc. Imperial Order just shuts that all down, and in this deck you can protect it with your Stardusts, therefore creating a pretty hard lock on the opponent. And on that note, Royal Oppression, because you know, what's better than making an awesome board of dragons? Making an awesome board of dragons while locking your opponent out of special summons. And protecting this with Stardust Spark Dragon. Spark Dragon's yet another reason why this probably will never come back, because you can just protect it, and they can't Typhon or whatever. And then finally, Ring of Destruction and Return. I don't really need to explain these a whole lot. They're just kind of really good. And then for the extra deck, we will go Xyz, Synchros, and Infusion. For the Xyz, it's just your standard rank 7s, 2 Dracosac, a Big Eye, and I also opted to run a Master of Blades because I figured it would be a good thing I could just end with so that it doesn't get snatched, beaconed, or change of hearted. plus some other obscure targeting effects. I only ever summoned this thing once. This probably could have been cut for a giant grinder, as Xyz spam is still certainly a thing in this format. I also could have run the Leo that I talked about earlier, but that would have required me to fit in Corseska and, I mean, Dark Spear and deck space was already tight enough as is. Although, looking back on it, I could probably just cut Reju for that. But then again, I could also cut Reju for a lot of things. Like, there was a lot of ban cards I had to pass up in here. Anyway, back to Xyz. Rank 8's Felgrand, Heliopolis. Felgrand was really good in this format. Just make Felgrand, your opponent can't, again, Snatch, Brain, Raigeki, just good stuff in general. For the Synchros, it's fairly straightforward. Star Eater, Azurize, Colossal Fighter, Crimson Blader, because, hey, people like to summon big, dumb, scary things, and Blader just locks them out. Scrap Dragon, Spark Dragon, MVP, by far. This was my most played Synchro monster, and my most played extra attack monster in general, because there are just so many things he pairs up nicely with. Again, Oppression, Imperial Order, Stardust coming in a close second, and I just ran the Thought Ruler as a level 8 I could just make so that I could then overlay it into a rank 8, because I didn't really want to use these guys to go into Felgrand. Like, I just felt like keeping these on board would have been better, whereas Thought Ruler was something I just could make and then take my Tree Water Dragon and put it on top. Not to mention, I'm playing Soul Charge and Dimension Fusion in return, so gaining back life is always good. And then for the Fusion monster, 5-headed Dragon, because, you know, Future Fusion. Again, though, he never hit the field. But it was still nice to be able to whip out my good old 5-headed Dragon and do Future Fusion shenanigans. And then I, like, made a son of what of a side for this. Just things I thought would be handy. Storm and Duster, because I didn't main deck them. Triple Space, Maxi and Scarecrow for the decks that like the combo. Lindworm for that guy who's playing stall, and like Marshmallow, Reaper, and such. Piercing damage kind of gets around that. Primat for burn. Horus and Horus for spell heavy decks. Imperial Order really just did their job. And then just the Blizzard Dragon, because I figure if I'm already going so far as to have a DDS Blue Eyes in this deck just to be swagginy and such, why not bust out the Super German Blizzard Dragon that I picked up from Mega Monkey? Thank you. I'll be getting a second one eventually from him. So, that is it for traditional rulers. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say on this. It was disgusting. It's the type of deck that you can just spend over an hour solitaring out, opening hands, and just comboing to see what all the fun things you can do. Because it's honestly fun to play. It's not fun to play against, mind you. Let's get that straight. And if you want to see what happened with this deck, by all means, check out a link to my recent blog post where I have my tournament report with this. Because, yeah. Oh god, the fields I made with this. I think the one game where I opened the single most absolute nuts was the one where I ended with Spark, Stardust, Azurize, Felgrand, and then Oppression with Imperial Order set behind it. Like, you just cannot get past that field. There's just no way of doing that. Unless you had, like, Lava Golem for the Stardust and Heavies. No, whatever. Anyway, so that's it for my traditional Dragon Rulers. Hope you enjoyed this. And until next time, people, this is Blue Star 9, checking out.